Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome again to our lunchtime devotion. And today we are going to work on one chapter in the book of Hebrew, which is always very famously quoted. And it is called the Faith's Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame is a hall you go in and you see the big portrait of all the important people hung up in the whole hall. So it's a Hall of Fame. And it is a great thing to have your picture included there. Okay, so we'll look at this chapter today. It is a very long chapter. I will not go into detail because all the characters they are mentioned there, I think are familiar with for most of us because they are narratives that is associated with all these Bible character. Okay. In the Bible, I think when we did the book of 1 Corinthians, when Uncle Henry did that, he did mention 1 Corinthians 13 is a sandwich. It is sandwiched between 1 Corinthians 12 and 1 Corinthians 14, which talk about spiritual gift. And 1 Corinthians 13 is the sandwich, the meat between the two pieces of bread that's really good. Because when you go for sandwich or McDonald's, you want to choose whether you have a cheeseburger, Big Mac, whatever. It is a meat that is important. And today, this chapter we are looking at is also like a sandwich. Because in Hebrews chapter 10, at the end of Hebrews chapter 10, it talks about a call to persevere in faith. So in Hebrews chapter 10, the author of Hebrew encouraged a challenge and really want the people, the early Christians, especially Jewish Christians, they are under persecution and tempted to turn back to the Jewish faith, to persevere in faith. And then when we do tomorrow, chapter 12 of Hebrew, it talks about how you can actually live up your faith. So there's a break and break. And then today we are talking about the Hall of Fame of faith. Okay, so it's the second sandwich that we encounter even as we go through the New Testament chronologically this year. Okay, let's dwell right into it. Hebrews 11 verse 1, it says this: now faith is the confidence, or some version put conviction, in what we hope for, and the assurance about what we do not see. I think if you have been memorizing scriptures, this must be one of those scriptures you have been asked to memorize. Faith is a confidence in what we hope for and assurance of what we do not see. Okay, what is this confidence or this assurance? Okay, one Bible scholar stated it like this, and I just borrow it because I thought it was so well written. He said, faith starts with believing in God's character, that He is who He says He is. Okay, so what's faith? Faith is actually, when we start at faith, we believe God, whatever God says, He will do it. And that faith culminates or ends with believing in God's promises, that He will do what He says He will do. So what is faith? Okay, if you do not believe in the character of God, that He keeps His promises, then you will not put your faith in Him. Okay, and then because you have faith in Him, then you know that He keeps His promises. He said, when we believe, what is faith? Faith is when we believe that God will fulfill His promises, even though we don't yet see any evidence. And then we do that, we demonstrate through faith. Okay, so faith, faith is what we have conviction, confidence, what we hope for. And this hope is not like wishy-washy. I hope this afternoon it rain. I hope tomorrow my boss will give me a rise or something like that. It's a hope. But when we talk about biblical hope, hope is really with certainty. When we have a biblical, we can know, and we know for certain that it will happen because of God's character. It is a hope, is a desire that's based on the assurance, and the assurance is based on God's character. Okay, so there is faith is confidence and faith is assurance. And verse 2, this is what the ancients were commended for. So all the way down, I'm just going to run through, and I have in my Bible, I've highlighted and circled. Okay, maybe you just follow me through. I just run through. Okay, what are those big portraits in this Hall of Fame? Okay, first, you said that verse 4 talk about Abel. We know who Abel is. I won't elaborate. Okay, Abel offer a good sacrifice. Then verse 5 talk about Enoch. Enoch is a man who walked with God and he was no more. So Enoch in the Bible, there are only two persons who didn't taste death. Enoch and Elisha. Okay, then verse 7 we talk about Noah. We all know about Noah who built the ark. Even though the circumstances around him, people were laughing at him, but he still continued because God has asked him to do it. Okay, imagine if you're in a dry land in the middle of a mountain and God asks you to build a huge boat that's 3-story high. He must have faith to do that. Then in verse 8, it talks about Abraham. Okay, and Abraham, God called him out of Chaldeans or Chaldeans. And historically, that is a very well-developed city. And God called Abraham, go out, leave this well-developed city and move to somewhere that he doesn't know where he's going. So that's faith. Verse 11, he talks about Sarah, his wife, who was 90 years old and still give birth to a baby. Then you come down. Okay, verse 20, I hope you're following me. Yeah? I'm running down. Verse 20, I talk about Isaac. Okay, Isaac. And then verse 21, it talks about Jacob. Okay, and then it talks about Joseph. Okay, so these are the portraits. Okay, then verse 23, the next person, even though it wasn't named by name, is Moses' parents. Okay, and then verse 24, it talks about Moses. Okay, how 23, how Moses, I think the mom's name is Joshua, how he hid Moses for 3 months. And then verse 24 talk about Moses, how Moses, he talk about Moses, how he didn't want to be in the palace, treated as a prince, but he chose to be with his people. Okay, when we come down verse 31, okay, he talk about Rahab. Okay, Rahab is a prostitute, and it is the women, one of the women that's named in Jesus' genealogy. Okay, then verse 32 onwards, it talk about Gideon. Okay, Gideon, we know that Gideon is the one who was able to fight against the Midianite with in Judges chapter 6 with 300 soldiers. He conquered and won the battle against the Midianites. Then we talk about Barak. We know Barak and Deborah. Okay, we talked about Deborah and Barak earlier. Okay, how he was able to win the battle against the king of Canaan. Honor Samson, the guy who fell in love with Delilah, and Delilah was his fall. But he saw, and in the end, when Samson died, he said by his death, he killed more people against the Philistine than he did his whole life. Okay, then we talk about Jephthah. Jephthah is a fight against the Ammonites. Okay, these are Ammonites and all these Jebusites. These are the people that in the promised land where God asked the people of Israel to chase them out. And then, of course, David and Samuel, we know, King David, second king. Samuel is a prophet and the other prophets. Okay, and verse 33 onwards, okay, it talk about people who conquered kingdoms. Okay, we can talk about like Joshua, David, and so conquered the promised land. Administered justice, talk about all the judges, and shut the mouth of lion. Okay, we can think of Daniel in chapter 6, Daniel. Okay, quench the fury of the flames. Okay, a lot of Bible scholars say it talk about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into the fire furnace. That is in Daniel chapter 3. Okay, escape the edge of the sword Bible scholar said it refers to Elijah in First King, and also in Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 36, where the king at that time wanted to kill them, but somehow God protected them. Okay, weakness was turned to strength. Okay, Bible scholars said this a lot. This refers to King Hezekiah. Remember, towards the end of his life, King Hezekiah was very sick, and he cried to the Lord, and the Lord restored him and make him strong again. Okay, and then powerful in battle and routed foreign miracles, and so on. So these are all the different people that when we read through the Old Testament, they are all picked up. Okay, there was one part, there's some verse 30, let's go down. Women receive back their dead, raised to life again. So a lot of Bible scholars will talk about this. Probably the widow of Zarephath in 2 Kings, and the Shunammite woman that's under Elisha, whereas widow of Zarephath under prophet Elijah, how they receive their sons back to life. Okay, who were tortured, refused to be released so that they might gain in a better resurrection. Face jeers, okay, that's what they said, and stoning, even chains and imprisonment. Verse 37, they were put to death by stoning, and they were sawn in two. Bible scholars, a lot of Bible scholars will talk about this. Verse 37, they talk about, actually, it is a prophet Elijah. Okay, he was put in, the king wanted to kill him, he went to the tree, and they actually saw him into two. Okay, not is the Isaiah, prophet Isaiah at the thing of King Manasseh. Okay, and then they have their orders. And verse 38, he said the world was not worthy of them. They wandered in deserts and fountains, living in caves and in holes and in the ground. So these are all the people whose portrait is put in that huge hall of fame. So I'm just wondering, what are the characteristics that move them, so they qualify them to be put into this hall of fame? What is so different about them compared to all the other biblical characters that's mentioned in the Old Testament? Okay, when I look back into this chapter, I think there are three reasons that this chapter put. Firstly, let's look at verse 10. Verse 10 says, if you talk about Abraham, I think it refers to all these people, heroes of faith. He was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Verse 10. So all these people, they have faith, and they are not looking at their current situation. They were looking forward. They're looking to the future. And they know that in the future, even though things don't look good where they are, but because God has promised them something in the future, a city with foundation, so they were able to endure and they were able to obey God. That's in verse 10. Verse 13, let's go down and look at verse 13. All these people were still living by faith when they died. So they have they press on the whole life. All through their life, they press on even though things don't look good. But because they are looking to the future, and so they persevere and living by faith. And they were still living by faith when they died. And then he said, even though they did not receive the things promised, they only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, and admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. Okay, so their whole life, they consist. And the third reason, let's look at verse 39. None of them received what they had promised. Okay, even though they didn't receive in their lifetime, but because they saw what was in the future, and that is faith. It is the conviction, the confidence of what we hope for. and the assurance about what we do not see. Okay, so that was quite easily that I would just want to bring up a few issues. Could be a little bit controversial and some thoughts and consideration now. Firstly, I like to bring up the whole issue that there must be a balance of faith and grace. There's a great apostle Paul in Ephesians 2 verse 8 and 9 that all of us will have memorized, that we are saved by grace through faith. Okay, we are saved by grace through faith. I will make a statement, we are not saved by faith, but we are saved by grace, qualified through faith. Because God, the grace at the starting point, God, through giving his son, died on the cross. That is God's grace. But we as human, we need to respond in faith and trusting and receiving the grace. So it is like that. A gift is given to you until you receive it and open the past, the present, whatever it is, then the gift is yours. So God, in his grace, had given us salvation. Okay, but we have to receive it through faith in Jesus. So I hope that's clear. Okay. Secondly, it must sound faith. Okay, faith on its own don't save us. You may say, wow, what a statement. Okay, I want to qualify. Some of us think we are saved by having faith, and some of us put our faith in faith. Okay, how much faith I have. But I think we must not put our faith in faith, but we have to put our faith in Jesus Christ. I hope you can see the slight difference. I can quantify faith as something that is like a commodity that I can quantify. Okay, this is something called faith. And when I trust in this faith, I can get what I want. But I think when the Bible talks about faith here, it talks about faith in the person of Jesus Christ. It is not faith in a substance or a commodity or a quantifying matter that is called faith. Okay, another thing with a bit associated with that, there is a false teaching floating around. I think we had to deal with, in essence, we had to deal with this for a very brief moment. Fortunately, it didn't get out of hand. But there are people who say that if you have faith strong enough, you will not be sick. Okay, if you're illness, if you're sick, you must pray in faith and pray in more and more faith, then you will be healed. And somehow, if your faith is not strong enough, then you will not be healed. There's quite a disturbing thought, right? If you subscribe to that. If I'm sick and I pray for healing and somehow I'm not healed, does it mean that I have no faith? Can you imagine the relatives who pray for faith for their loved ones? And when the loved one dies, they'll be filled with guilt and filled with remorse that why is my faith not strong enough? Okay, and extending with that, this group of people who say that if you have faith strong enough, you will not even get sick. Wow, dangerous, huh? I said if you have faith like that of Enoch, you will not even die. Because just that God has taken Enoch no more, God will take you home. We have a friend that we mentored when we were in Kuala Lumpur for years. This brother is back in Penang. There was one night when we were in Penang, we talked to him till 2-3 a.m. on this issue. His church subscribes to the wrong teaching. I will boldly say wrong teachings that if you have faith enough, you will not die. Okay, and I just want to briefly to say that There is a difference between saving faith and the gift of faith that we talk in the book of Corinthians, the list of gifts. I think saving faith is what we exercise, what we have when we come to Jesus, when God offer, God's grace to offer us, and in very simple faith we respond. God give us the faith to believe in Jesus, and the faith to receive Jesus. And this is a faith that saves us. All of us who are called by his name has this saving faith. But the gift of faith that is recorded in Corinthians, it is a gift that God gives to certain people either at certain times or give to them as a special gifting where they are able to exercise that faith. Okay, some of us may have this gift of faith. You can ask God to confirm it in your life, where you have faith, where you can pray, faith, okay? But this is a gift of faith. It's different from saving faith. Okay, I will just end today's sharing by quoting somebody's definition. It says, faith gives believer confidence, and so that we can see more clearly. It is like he put 3 types of lenses. First, he talked about, this author said it's a fisherman sunglasses. I don't know whether my husband, who is a fisherman, knows about it, but I'm not fisherman, so I don't know. Apparently, the fishermen wear a special type of sunglasses, and this type of glasses, the fisherman glasses, will remove the glare. So that when they look, they can see the fish better and they know where to fish. So he said, faith is like you can start to perceive realities better. You can see below the surface, beneath the surface, and you are not blinded by the glare of sinful attraction. Okay, the second glasses this author talk about, it is like a night vision lenses. So it penetrates the darkness around you so that you can identify enemies that might be surrounding you, or you can identify dangers ahead. Okay, we know at night you can wear special night vision so that when you drive, you can see better. So because you can see better, you can follow God's clear leading better. And the third one, the author say, it is like corrective lenses. Okay, faith believers, when we believe, the corrective lenses, it compensates the weakness in our eyes or in our vision. I wear sunglasses now, myopia, some of us do, and we wear them so that we can correct whether a weakness our eye muscle or say our cornea, whatever, it corrected. So this is correct faith will help us to correct our perception so that we know what God is actually saying to us. And so that when we read the scripture, we can understand and perceive. Okay. I just aimed at Oswald Chambers' quote, and that will be a challenge to us. Oswald Chambers said this, life of faith. Okay, remember it's verse 13, all these people in the hall of faith were still living by faith when they died. I think we all want to be like that, right? Still living by faith until I breathe my last. I don't know about you, I certainly want that. He said a life of faith is not a life of mounting up like wings, okay, fly, okay, but it is the life of walking, continuously walking and not fainting. Okay, and he said the reason is faith never knows where it is being led, but it comes because it knows the one who is leading. So I leave that challenge to me and to all of us. May we all live by faith, walking through a long life, a life walking and not fainting. And we may not know what is in the future, but we know who holds the future. So I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. because I know who holds my tomorrow. And I trust it'll be the same for you. And brothers and sisters, let us continue to live by faith and live in faith. Thank you so much.